Indonesia's NUSA DUA, AP, members of the group of 20 top economies concluded their summit on Wednesday by strongly denouncing the violence in Ukraine and isolating the conflict's negative effects on the already fragile global economy. Despite disagreements within the group, which also includes Russia and nations like China and India who have strong commercial links with Moscow but have refrained from explicitly denouncing the war, international leaders managed to stress a rejection of the conflict in the summit's final declaration. According to the statement, most members strongly opposed the war in Ukraine and underlined that it is aggravating already existing fragilities in the global economy and inflicting great human suffering. Even so, John Kirton, director of the G20 Research Group, called the statement's use of language from a March UN resolution that condemned the aggression by the Russian Federation against Ukraine and demanded its complete and unconditional withdrawal from Ukrainian territory a big breakthrough. In an interview, he stated that the G20 here left no mistake about who it knew had begun the war and how it should finish. China and India, who joined the democratic side of the big immediate geopolitical divide, made an active change, according to him. The two-day meeting that took place on Bali, Indonesia's tropical island, was heavily influenced by the war in Ukraine. Poland claimed that a Russian-made missile was to blame for the explosion close to the Ukrainian border and that it was looking into the incident. The NATO member refrained from assigning blame for the two fatalities to Russia. Russia denied taking part. The missile's launch from Russia was deemed unlikely, according to Biden, who also vowed to support Poland's investigation. When asked if the missile had been fired from Russia, Biden told reporters, "There is preliminary information that contests that. We'll see, but given the trajectory, it is unlikely that it was fired from Russia." Russia launched its largest ever assault of missile attacks on Ukrainian cities on Tuesday, targeting the nation's energy facilities, which have been regularly hit as winter draws near. At the conclusion of the discussion, Sunak spoke with reporters and described the attacks as the harsh and persistent reality of Putin's fight. Putin was launching indiscriminate attacks on civilians in Ukraine while all world leaders were collaborating to address the greatest challenges our people face, Sunak said. He continued by saying that the war would continue to destroy the world economy. According to Indonesian President Joko Widodo, the negotiations were very arduous, and the section of the proclamation dealing with the conflict was the most problematic. Some others viewed the finished product as a resounding condemnation of a war that has claimed thousands of lives, increased tensions in international security, and damaged the global economy. Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia, who took the helm of the delegation in place of Vladimir Putin, criticized the Biden administration's efforts to criticize Moscow. Some people were surprised by China's backing of a public statement that criticized Russia. The G20 was initially established in 1999 as a platform to discuss economic issues. Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, Greece, Italy, Japan, South Korea, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Turkey, United Kingdom, United States, and the European Union are all included in it. Spain is the current host nation. The 16-page statement also expressed serious concern over a number of other issues, such as the energy and food crises exacerbated by the conflict in Ukraine. The leaders promised to take urgent actions to save lives, prevent hunger and malnutrition, particularly to address the vulnerabilities of developing countries in the face of food shortages and rising food prices. The July agreement allowed Ukraine, a major producer of grains, to begin exports from ports that had previously been mostly shut by the conflict. Erdogan stated, "As of today, I think the grain arrangement will continue. We will continue our conversations as soon as we get back, especially with Mr. Putin. Because conversation is the path to peace." The G7 leaders, who represent Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the European Union, as well as the President of the European Council and the Prime Ministers of NATO allies Spain and the Netherlands, met in an emergency session on Wednesday. Later, in a separate meeting, Biden and Sunak had their first in-depth discussion since the latter's inauguration a month ago. According to Biden, the leaders denounced the most recent Russian assaults, which resulted in widespread outages. While we are meeting, Russia is escalating the situation in Ukraine, despite calls from the G20 for a de-escalation, Biden remarked. This article was written by Sung Min Kim, Zeke Miller, and Ninia Carmini for the Associated Press.